change people's behavior, right? There are three basic ways of doing that. Price, rules, and norms. Right? Price is the common market mechanism, right? We design the incentive structure so that people respond to, right? But to that, I would say that transportation system is where pricing as a tool is not being well utilized. There are a lot of mispricing going on here, a lot of externality not being addressed. The second one is the rules, right? That's the formal public policy, right? Like traffic rules. Right? And then the third one is the social norms, right? That's where that's the customs, that's the habit, that's the typical expectation of how should we conduct ourselves. Right? For example, today in transportation, one of the key goals is to reduce carbon across the system, right? That includes kind of the technology solution and the behavior solution. Right? The technology solution is can we develop electric vehicle, hydrogen-based vehicle? And the behavior solution is for us, each of us, to do our part, right? Can we switch from driving car to use public transit, to ride a bike, and to walk, for example, right? In order to have this behavior change, we can use pricing as a tool. So either you kind of put a congestion charge on cars, right? Or you can set the rules. Right? So if the government says we are pedestrianizing this mass F, for example, then we formally require this. But the more powerful one is the social norm. It's for each of us to recognize when you travel, you want to choose the one that has the lowest carbon emission as a part of your typical behavior here. Right? That norm takes a long time to establish, but once established, it can be very powerful a way of influencing people's behavior. We did a study on car pride, which tried to measure the value that people have a car that's not the mobility itself. So beyond moving me from A to B, the utility, what else people actually still want a car, right? We actually quantified that car pride, right? And then we measured across 50 countries. We find a very interesting pattern. In general, the developed country have a much lower car pride, except the United States. Right. So developed country, if you look at, like particularly from northern Scandinavian countries, many of the European countries, Japan, they typically have a lower car pride than the developing country. But US is an exception in this. Right? Here and in the developing country, you'll find people have a higher desire to have a car, this car pride high, but because the local income is still low, so there's a kind of suppressed the demand there. Right? So what this means is there could be a danger when the economy continues to grow and developed countries become more able to afford having a car. And this desire of owning a car, this high car pride, may be allowed to be expressed itself. Right? That may lead to a lot more car ownership growth than we anticipated. Right? And if this car, without being heavily electrified and using hydrogen, etc., can lead to an explosion of the CO2 emission coming out of the transportation system. Right? That's one thing I think we should recognize. There are not only your income, your household structure will influence the car purchase behavior, but the car pride will also strongly influence the decision of owning or using a car.